Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Carter and I'm joined by Carrie as she's furiously grabbing some links for you guys. And I will go ahead and do a new share so you can see our screen and less of the Mentimeter pulling our gaze. And we'll kind of dive in here. As we've said in all of our previous sessions, we really tried to focus on some best practice pieces and really thinking about, you know, connecting with our students, building engagement strategies into what we're doing. It's really hard when all you're seeing again and again is a black box. So what are some ways that we can engage our students? Mentimeter might be one, to pull them into the conversation a little bit more. I love to utilize a lot of different options within Zoom, things that I have customized and turned on in my settings. For instance, if you haven't tried the nonverbal feedback, go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you can find it. It's in your participation window. You have to click on the little button that says more, the jelly beans for more, and then hit the thumbs up. So I'm seeing about 7 of you doing that. So you have to open up your participation window in order to find those features. So that's one way to start to get students to kind of engage in kind of the call and response piece, especially if students aren't feeling comfortable quite yet with turning their microphone on. I think using the reactions, go ahead and give me a clap reaction. If you can find the clap button. I can see a few of you coming through and giving me a clap reaction. So noting the difference between using the clap reactions and your nonverbal participation buttons and using those. So I'm seeing a couple of people giving me claps in the nonverbal section. Try and see if you can also locate the reaction button for me. Those should be in the bottom controls of your kind of Brady Bunch gallery view. And then the participation is a part of the window off to the side when you open up your chat. Okay. So we're just going to keep on going, but the focus for today is the concept of humanizing your spaces. And this to me is one of the most important parts beyond connecting with students. I think we have to think about what the students are interacting with, whether that's online with us when we're live in Zoom or in the courses that we're building in Seesaw or in Canvas. And that is intentional building of those pieces. And then additionally, how are we making sure that we're uplifting the voices that need to be uplifted and making sure that everybody feels represented? So I'm going to turn this over to Carrie and have Carrie go through some of these pieces so that you know what I'm saying, Carrie.
Yes, happily.
Okay.
Happily. I don't know about you, but last spring was like, what do they call it? They called it like emergency remote learning, right? Like it was crisis teaching, and we were just sort of thrown to the wolves, literally. And we got content out to kids the very best that we could. The page has shifted, and now we've had, I don't know, what is it, 8 months, 6 months to reflect on this, to change up our practices. So moving forward, the idea is that we are way more prepared, I know everyone's giggling, right? Way more intentional about our design. So kind of the frame of reference is, we've seen some things that perhaps my child is not in this district, but my child is a middle schooler, and he would get just a piece of paper, essentially a digital piece of paper thrown at him in size 12 font, pretty small, just black writing on a white piece of paper. And that was supposed to be engaging to him. And I know you probably know, as you've had to sit watching Zoom meetings, right? Like, I don't know, hours after hours, and try and imagine a child having to sit and do that. So the more interesting, engaging, the better we can lay things out, the better for our students. It kind of put a brutal comment down there on the bottom, but I think it's true. If you were in the classroom, would you hand a student that piece of paper with the size 12 font, super small, no pictures, nothing engaging, to a student, and it says at the top, and you know, write this prompt? Like, boo, right? Like, that's not engaging or interesting at all for them. And even more so, they don't have your face in front of them. They don't have all the normal classroom things to get them engaged. So it's going to come down to really explicit lesson design. So we're going to talk about a number of these things. And over here, we've kind of broken it up into two different columns here, lesson design versus information design. And we'll talk about them, but again, want to respect your time. We're going to jump into talking about Bitmojis and GIFs momentarily. Your face. I know your face is on Zoom, but where else could your face be? And trust me, I am not a fan of putting my face, this whole Zoom thing, everyone just seeing your face all the time. I'm not a big fan of like videotaping myself. I think it ages me. My daughter, who's a teenager, has no problem doing that. She's taking videotape herself all the time. I'm not comfortable doing it, but in order for me to connect through this boring screen with all of you, my face is the way that I need to do that. So whether that is recording your face in Seesaw, whether that's recording your face in Canvas, it's putting your image on as much as you can. So directions given, obviously not in paragraphs full of boring font text, but if you can give those directions personally via a video or your audio, they're just so much more innately engaging, and you can get so much more information across when students see you and they hear you. So we put a challenge there to maybe at least weekly model for students a video of you talking. My daughter's principal gives a weekly update, not in a crazy, ridiculous long newsletter, but a video. And I, of course, I'm a good parent and I read the newsletters that she sent before that. But once this started and she did the video, it was just so much more of a personal human touch. And I feel like I know that principal way better than I ever would reading all of her newsletters. So I know it's intimidating, but a challenge to do as much of your own personal videoing as possible. We're going to talk a little bit about clear instructions. You're not there over their shoulder, right? Normally you'd be milling about and say, oh, no, you're going to need to touch this. Oh, no, it's that button, where you're able to model and see what kids are doing wrong. And this is happening to Nicole and I a ton. People are asking us questions, but I can't see your screen, right, to know what's going on your end, what the buttons are that you're pushing or touching. So the more explicit in those directions, the better. Oh, my goodness. Less text. Obviously, there are some times where they need to read a reading passage or whatever, but minimizing the amount of text that's thrown at them. Bulleting, right? You can make lists of things, highlighting things, utilizing color to get their attention on the part that you really want them to focus on. Simple layouts. We're going to talk a little about images, hyperlinking things. I know it's probably a pain, right? When you're at home, and right now people were asking me for the links, right? So just saying, like, how are they going to access this? Is there a simple workflow from the kid end? What are they going to need? Do they have the link? Do they have the clip art? Do they have whatever they need ready to go for them? Visuals, arrows. Do you have buttons? Have you done screenshots of what the exact button is that the students are going to touch? So that navigation is a huge part. Nicole and I were building a writing unit in Canvas, and it's so much of, okay, what do the kids see? What are they going to touch on their end? Whether that's on a Chromebook or on an iPad, what does that look like for them, right? And if you can get your hands on a Chromebook, I know that I'm guilty. I should spend more time working on a Chromebook, so I know innately the keystrokes better to give my students advice. But I know you can also find a lot of that online. So I'll often search up, okay, how do you take a screenshot on a Chromebook? I'll add that to my Google search to make sure I have the correct directions, not for my iMac, because that's different than they're going to be experiencing on their end.
Yes, I was opening up a few things so that we could highlight that. I do know that I sometimes will steal my child's Chromebook. I'm lucky because I do have a student that's in the district and she has a Chromebook, so I steal hers quite often. But yeah, looking it up, I just do a Google search. How do I switch between screens on a Chromebook, and just do a Google search for that. And we'll show you in a minute, but utilizing, I have a screenshot in the slide deck that you are more than welcome to steal of the Chromebook keys, so that you can highlight or put a little circle around certain keys or things that they might need to do. You know, simple things that we don't necessarily think of, but even teaching little ones how to capitalize a letter, that's something that they need instruction on how to do for sure.
Another thing to keep in mind is the size of the Chromebook screen. So oftentimes I'll build an activity in Seesaw or whatever, and I think it looks good on my computer, and then I look at it on their size screen, and that worksheet really should have been done in landscape versus portrait. It made it too small for the students to have to see. So just taking that time to look at it from their angle. This next page right here is just an article, but it's linked a number of different tips. And this is for you to peruse later. But it's, besides just telling you the tip, they also give you like a paragraph of information and some more resources. So you're like, okay, so making sure, gosh, that it's interactive, right? That kids are not just sitting and getting or sitting and listening to you, that there are things that they are doing. So that's just there for your reference.
There's been a couple of people that are asking, are there any access to Chromebooks that we can have or that we can use? And I think that that's a building by building decision. So if that is something that is interesting to you, I would definitely recommend it. Like I said, I steal my child's Chromebook all the time. So sending a message to either the TSS in your building or to your administrator saying, hey, I would really love to have access to a Chromebook so I can see what the kids are seeing. I think that that's a good idea. We'll highlight some things in Canvas in a minute to show you what they see when they're in Canvas, but that's another way, even if you don't have a Chromebook, to see the student side or the student perspective. Okay. And then I was going to show with this, Carrie, I was going to highlight that one ugly.
I put it, it's in the next slide.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yes.
One more down.
Okay. So even things like utilizing GIFs, like for our little ones, K through 2, who will have iPads, showing them how to access or move between different apps, how to shoot screenshots. I mean, students on Chromebooks are going to need to know how to shoot screenshots too. So this was the piece I was talking about, the little keyboard. For a Chromebook, they have different buttons than we have with our MacBooks. So for instance, this button here that I've highlighted or put a circle around, that's the button that they can easily access window by window. So if they have multiple windows up, they've got Zoom open, but then you also want them to go into a Google Drive or you want them to go into Canvas, making sure to highlight, and I don't know what that button is called. Maybe you guys can come up with a name in your classroom for what that button is. But your direct instruction would be, hey guys, I need you to go into Canvas, use your window toggle button. I don't know. I feel like you could come up with a fun name. That's something that the kids are all used to. Okay, and then this is the one we were kind of referencing. So we made, this is a published to web version, Carrie. It's okay. I think I have it pasted. Yeah, okay. So this is not pretty, but when Carrie and I were building this last weekend in Canvas, we just created this slide deck where we were grabbing screenshots as we were building and then highlighting things to give step-by-step instructions to the students. And again, it's not anything special. We were just grabbing and pasting into the slide deck so that we could highlight and circle things. In this instance, I didn't have makeup on. And I took a screenshot of how I might be uploading a video into Canvas. So I just popped my Bitmoji over the top of my face because my hair wasn't done and I didn't have makeup on. So just, again, just simple things like that to give, again, very clear instructions to students. I need you to press this button here. For a lot of our younger kids, they maybe have never, and even some of our secondary students, like in the past, my child was in 6th grade and she didn't really submit hardly anything onto Canvas. So even though she technically should have had Canvas for at least 1 year, I would not say that she is well accustomed to submitting assignments in various forms in Canvas. So I wouldn't just assume that they know how to add video to an assignment. I wouldn't just assume that they know how to submit something. I would need to give them and build those skills up as I go. Oh, so there you go. Talking about Canvas, lead right into Canvas. Okay, so here is, we were just in a session with 4th and 5th grade teachers. So if we have any secondary teachers, you have experienced this already, but I think that this shows you a little bit of kind of what we're meaning. Moving away from just black text on a white screen. We've added in buttons that are hyperlinked to different pages. We've created banners, and all of these buttons lead to different things. As we move into content, we're clearly navigating or giving kids access to different pieces. We're giving them overviews. We're giving them anchor charts that are digital so that they can access it themselves. When we go into sessions, let me make my screen just a little bit bigger. When we go into sessions, we're trying to include images and text, and you'll notice very little text on the screen here, and the text is actually large. I like to move away from 12-point font and do the text a little bit larger. The other thing, when you're in Canvas, surprisingly, it does give you a word count for what you've put into the assignment itself. So I would even recommend that you kind of challenge yourself to pay attention to your word count and not give too much, because I definitely have seen assignments where people have done huge paragraphs of text for students, and I just, they're not gonna read it. So if you do have a ton of instructions, paste them in as text, but then you might think about recording yourself. In Canvas, it's as simple as clicking this record upload media button. It's going to utilize your webcam on your MacBook, and you just start recording. So if you do have a ton of text, I would recommend that you then read through that text in a video form and upload that. Your kids are going to watch the video instead of reading through all of that text, and that might be beneficial in the long run. I want to get out of this without saving. And this next this is an actual activity where students would be submitting. And so I just wanted to point out that we have given them very clear step-by-step instructions. This is the very first assignment that these students will be seeing. They probably never submitted an assignment on Canvas before. So we are walking them through. Click the submit assignment button in the top right-hand corner. Make sure you type here and then hit submit again. The way that we know what that looks like in Canvas is by going into the settings and going into student view. And it gives me this purple magenta screen all the way around, so I know I'm in student view. And that way I can go through the process of actually submitting something and or screenshotting something to give them. So right here it says resubmit because I've already attempted it or whatever. So I would take a picture of that and know exactly what it is that they are seeing. So that's the student view. Carrie, is there anything else I need to do in Canvas before I switch it over to you? Are you going to do a live demo in Seesaw?
Yeah, happy to.
Okay, perfect. Are you ready to share?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, for those of you, now can you see me?
Yep.
All right, for those of you who are working in Seesaw, Seesaw has some really, really super nice built-in features. And in case you didn't know, this year you can actually record your face right inside of the drawing activities. So if you are utilizing Seesaw, that is just such an awesome feature that I'll show in just a moment. I wanted to show you this teacher, right? So this teacher has a morning check-in that she's doing every single day with her class, and she's created this little template here. And it's just a cork board, right? Like you could search for that background anywhere on Google. She's got herself some little Post-it notes, but it's this part right here. She has put her face in.
Hello and happy Monday, second graders. It's so good to see you guys here on the.
Now, I know that's for second grade, but that human touch, I don't have to read the stuff. Oh yeah, there's my teacher. I get to hear from them. I get to hear what all these Post-it notes are, what she wants us to do for the day. So I think that part is super nice. And then she asked the students to do the same thing, right? So answer the question of the day and record yourself telling how you feel. So it's a nice little morning message and check-in. But again, it just has that really nice human touch. There's all kinds of SEL check-in activities that are ready to go there. I stuck a number of them in our district library if you want to peruse some of the things that I put in there. But everything from, you know, a really quick check-in with students, a mood meter, right? How are you feeling today? So just an opportunity to have that human connection with kids. And this one's great. Here are the things that I want you to do today. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of text. But she shows, okay, I'm going to want you to check by these items. She's getting their home learning space set up, which is probably not a mini lesson you would have assumed that you needed to do, but this year probably so. These are the things that hopefully you have near you, your learning tools. I want you to circle all the things that you have. And yet again, here she is, right?
Hello, students. This activity is
right, explaining to you with her own words what she wants you to do. So I feel like that's just such a nice, and again, Seesaw just has that innately built in. And the way that you access that is I'm just going to create an activity for my class and I'm going to give them an example. And you can just record a video of yourself, but drawing now has a video feature. So if you're here in a drawing, I could be typing directions for my students, recording directions. I could take a photo of myself, or I can just embed a video right inside of there. So it's getting ready for my little video, and here's me. And I'm telling you, I'm recording for the students, right? I have to allow, oh yes, so many allows. 3, 2, 1. All right, kids, here's what's gonna happen today. I'm giving you directions, I'm talking to you explicitly, I'm even pointing, right? Like that's gonna be right here, you're gonna tell whatever, right? Just a nice, again, not opening up this boring piece of paper. It's got your face there. It's got engaging colors. It's a fun activity that you're gonna want to do. And the kids get an opportunity to do that as well, right, in Seesaw. So you can build that activity so the students respond back to you with a video. And again, unlike last spring where we knew many of our students before this, before we went remote, this fall will be unique in that we don't necessarily know our students. So it'll be a different beast for sure. We keep going?
Yep.
All right, the next thing you can do, and hopefully you've seen a ton of Bitmojis. Bitmoji craze. Now there are people who have gone Bitmoji crazy. There's a Facebook group that I'm a part of. There are Bitmoji classrooms being built everywhere. But the whole idea of the Bitmoji is to add a fun flair, a personal touch. So here are directions on the slide for you, how you can do that. You actually need to create your download on a mobile device. You need to download the Bitmoji app and you build your little account on there. You create your account. You customize your little Bitmoji so they look like you, and then you can then add that extension onto your Chrome browser. So then I can just pull up my little Bitmoji menu, and I'm like, okay, I want, oh yes, me as a lemon, because that is spectacular. I don't know why I need that, but perhaps I need me as a lemon, right? So it's just a fun thing. It's and there are Bitmojis doing crazy poses all over the world. And there are some secret Bitmoji things that you can type in that you're not allowed to share with your friends. But this is a whole article here on secret Bitmojis that people don't even realize they're there. You have to type in the correct phrase in order to find them. So you can animate your Bitmoji. It just adds a sense of fun. And you probably think that maybe just for little kids, but I don't think so. I think high school and middle school kids enjoy. You can make things kind of funny, right? Like humorous for them to enjoy.
Yeah, I thought for sure my kid wouldn't like them, but my 7th grader thought they were the cutest. She thought the Bitmoji classroom was awesome, which kind of turned the tide for me because I've been poo-pooing Bitmoji classrooms this whole time. So
another little fun thing on the next slide 16 is for students to create their own avatars. Now, obviously, if you are dealing with older students who would have phones, then they could potentially do Bitmojis. But a heads up that Bitmoji does have some inappropriate poses and finger gestures and things like that. So here are some perhaps safer avatars to have your kids create their own avatar and then utilize them. This teacher here in the middle, because you can't really have a class like photo, right? So she went in, she got a little excited, and she created a look-alike Bitmoji for each of her kids, and she made a little virtual class picture, which I think is darling, and she made this as well, like a class gathering. If you're going to be making anchor charts or things for the class, have them send you all of their Bitmojis or avatars and use their likenesses in your different things that you're creating. So it just sort of makes it more special than just always seeing myself. And in Seesaw, if you are a Seesaw user, here are a number of ready-to-go activities that are all about creating your own avatar and decorating your own avatar. Kind of along the same lines here, gifts. Gifts are fun, right? I have Carlton dancing on my gift. You can't tell. I don't know if kids will be old enough to know who Carlton is, but hopefully they know who Dame is. Gifts are just, again, a super interactive, fun way to add a little life to a slide, right? And of course, if you're going to have it connected to your content, but it could be pretty engaging for students to have there. There is an extension that you can add, and you can also just do a web search, or this website here, giphy.com, has a number of GIFs that are just ready to go for you that you can slide into any presentation.
Additionally, the kind of new take on the Bitmoji stuff is to make yourself a GIF, like waving and that sort of thing. So I love that. And we have that somewhere listed somewhere, don't we?
Yes. I think it's this next page here.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Again, I don't love myself on camera, but I would certainly do this for my class. Look at this teacher, this Meet the Teacher here. I'm going to toggle over to her page, and she made a slideshow, right? A virtual Meet the Teacher, where she's just recorded a simple little video of herself spinning around in her cute little dress, spinning around and waving, and she put that just on a simple Google background. So all kinds of information about her. She loves Disneyland. This is more engaging than just flat pictures, even if she included pictures. There's her reading. Oh, she even dances during brain breaks. Love it. Pointing. They seem silly, and maybe you feel uncomfortable doing them, but it really is engaging for your kids.
I love that.
Yeah, and here's directions exactly how to do that. You just upload your video right to this thing called Unscreen, and it takes the video out. And here are 2 potential backgrounds that you can slide yourself right on top of. They are Google Slides, ready to go. You can edit them, and you're ready to go for Meet the Teacher night.
Perfect. Yeah, this is one that is my personal favorite thing to do. I love and have always loved teaching with music. And so making sure that it is a good experience for the students, there is a little button in the bottom right-hand corner or left-hand corner when you go to share your screen that you have to make sure you click. And if you're going to be sharing any kind of video, you want to make sure you click the button right next to it as well. That just helps with the audio. And if you have students that are giving you feedback saying that the audio is not good for them, then I would definitely recommend you work into your routines, teaching them when it's appropriate to turn their videos on and when to turn them off, because having your video on is pulling bandwidth from the internet. So if they don't have very fast internet, just simply having their video on is going to make the audio not work for them, right? And so to kind of cycle back to the avatar example, in fact, I'm seeing a few people that do have an avatar as their Zoom image. So that could be a fun activity to show students how to add their own avatar to their Zoom so that when they do turn their video off, we still can see like a representation or likeness of them instead of just a black screen. But the video will drastically change your audio experience if you have that turned on. And then just know too that if you are uploading some of your videos straight into YouTube and you're recording with audio in the background of any kind of popular music, you might get a copyright claim in YouTube. So like for me, whenever I am recording these PD sessions, I don't hit record until I stop my music from the waiting room. That's just simple practice. And then I think too, if there's a time where we're doing a brain break and we're listening to Friday, right? Like that might be time again where it's a call and response or the kids are participating and I don't want their faces on the screen. Plus there's audio in the background that could be copyrighted. I just am not going to record that either, right? Like there's not a reason for me to have that in a recording. So it's still part of the classroom experience and stuff that kids find fun, but I don't necessarily need to record that as a part of a content lesson. So just be keeping in mind those copyright pieces as well. And we kind of did the nonverbal feedback earlier. So just a reiteration, you need to go in and turn the, toggle the things on so that you have those nonverbal feedback cues available for your students. On your side, you can actually see how many people have given you responses. So it gives you a tally on your side as the host when they're responding. So you can kind of know, okay, I only have, 23 of you giving me a thumbs up. So that means there's a few of you that still need some help. So we're going to go back over that again or whatever. You've got a tally and you can clear those tallies at any time using the little clear all eraser button. And then if they change their answer, so if for instance you ask the kids to give you a thumbs up or thumbs down and they hit thumbs up first but then they change their mind and they hit a thumbs down, it clears or changes your tally depending on the last button that they have pressed. And then you also have that kind of more feature as well. Something I saw yesterday, someone created, like when they give kids a bio break or something, they created or did the exact same thing. This is a total tangent and side note, but they created like a waiting room slide for like break time. Or when the teacher is stepping away from the screen or whatever. So I think having a waiting room slide and or like a bio break or brain break slide would be really, really helpful. Okay. Yeah, Mentimeter was that tool that we kind of talked about at the very, very beginning. Again, we've got a lot of comments in the chat about the polling feature on Zoom. So you have to sign out of Zoom and sign back in using the SSO feature and typing in the Beaverton domain. And you might even have to upgrade it a little bit. I wish there was an easier way for us to push out the upgrade to everyone's teacher machine, but you do have to log out and log back in, and then you do have to go into your settings and turn the polling feature on. I personally don't think I will ever use the polling feature. It's cumbersome. You have to create it when you're creating your meetings ahead of time. Or I think you might be able to also do it live, but it launches another browser window, and it's a little bit helter-skelter when you're trying to do it at live in the moment. And it only offers you just multiple choice answers. So I don't know, I would rather use Google Forms or Mentimeter instead of the polling feature, but everybody should have advanced or pro version of Zoom to start the school year with, but we might need to get better information on how to push that out to you, because it doesn't always work for everybody when they sign in and sign back out. Moving on.
Classroom screen. If you haven't played around with Classroom screen yet, it is, I'm gonna go ahead and open it up right here. It is just a little, like a desktop for you with all kinds of tools down here at the bottom. And what a spectacular little meerkat, which is awesome, proud Patrick. But down here at the bottom, I can change the background if I wanted the background to be whatever photo or just a solid background for right now so that you're focused. I could have a random names selector. So if I had my kids' names in here, I could call upon, right, whoever that was. Let's see here. I could roll the dice. I can choose how many dice. We're playing a class game, right? So I can have the dice up here ready to go. We could play the game. I can do, oh, this doesn't really apply so much for remote learning, but the classroom sound level, you could set it. I can have a draw feature where I want to show them something really quickly and draw it for them up here. So I have all my little tools up here. I could model something awesome, right? Woohoo, there you go, kids. You can see what I'm doing. I could type something up here for them. Obviously, you wouldn't do all of these things at the same time like I'm doing, but you could just type for them really fast directions, right? Like you didn't have to open something up. Like, there you go, kids. That's what I want you to do right now. They get the instructions. Oh, goodness. There's, ooh, symbols. Yeah, everybody be quiet. That's good. We need that in our life. Yeah, everybody do all these other things. Everybody whisper, again, probably more applicable for in class, but you get the idea. And there are timers. So I'm going to set the timer for a certain amount of time and I'm going to hit start. So that's just all built in. There's also a clock feature over there that shows in military time exactly what time it is. Let's see, can I switch that? Oh, I can't switch it. I don't want to be in military time. And a calendar piece. So this is here and you can just personalize this and have it as one of your tools in your tool belt. Maybe something that you just bookmark and you pull up when you know that you're going to need a timer real fast. It's right there and ready to go. Let's see, speaking of other fun things, I linked 3 other teacher tools, right? Just fun games and quizzes and things that you can do to get kids super jazzed about whatever it is that you're currently teaching. It's Jeopardy games and all kinds of things. You don't have to create accounts to do them. And then I know this is super silly. I don't know why I'm so excited about this, but these classroom timers here, they have timers, all different kinds of timers. And I just envision like you give them a break, right? You've got a 10-minute break and all kinds of fun themes. How great if I set a duck race, right? With some of us in this duck race, I'm going to set it and I'm going to give you, what, 10 seconds? Yeah, just for fun. And I'm going to start our duck race. And there we are, right? Are you kidding me? Go, Tina. Go, Tina. How awesome is that? That the kids come back and Tina ran away with that. That wasn't even close. But how fun for kids to, again, a silly little thing, but I'm eager to come back from the break to find out what duck is going to win the race or whatever it is. So that's just a fun little engaging tool. Nicole, do you want to, can I have you share and talk Jamboard?
Sure. You want me to share the screen?
Sure.
Oh, I don't know. You keep sharing because we're running out of time. So you keep sharing and I'll just go over this real quick. We definitely are we have a PD class coming up that is specific to Jamboard. Jamboard is an alternative to Padlet. Padlet only allows you to have 3 Padlets going at any one time unless you're an OG user and you used it 10 years ago and you have 150 like Chris Giles has. But Padlet's great, but you get limited, right? So Jamboard is an alternative. It's connected to your Google suite of products. So you do not have to create a new account. And it works on all devices. Actually, if you have a teacher iPad, the iPad version is better than the web-based version. But it's a great way to do morning meetings, to do quick check-ins with kids. You can share it just like you would share any kind of Google product. There are pieces that it doesn't have, like Padlet has like a profanity filter. Jamboard doesn't necessarily have that. And it doesn't give you like the history features that you have in like Google Docs that it doesn't have that for some reason. But I do think that it kind of functions as a whiteboard type piece that you can use. I thought I got rid of that. So in terms of Google Forms, as I said before, I would rather use Google Forms than like the polling feature in Zoom. I think there's a lot more things that you can do to start with. And yeah, so this one is a day 1 check-in. How did we do? How did you feel at the end of day 1? What did I not explain clearly? I think the huge piece here with CDL in general is teacher reflection. Like we need to know what's hitting with the kids, what they're getting, and what we need to change or fix. And so that reflection piece is, I think, going to be really critical to helping us adjust how we're teaching. So that's a first day check-in form. And then this one is a Zoom comfort level. Like, how do you feel with speaking? How do you feel with having your video on? That sort of thing. So these are good beginning of the year pieces to have kids fill out. And then the other option, I didn't link it, Carrie, I apologize. Okay. I was getting to it and then I didn't. That one is just highlighting or showing that it is very easy for you to pop in one of those kind of humanizing videos of your face. I used my phone and just took a really quick video explaining what the activity was. It was less than a minute long. Uploaded that into YouTube and then popped that into my Google form. And I'm just explaining what the activity is, but it's my face, right? So you can do that as well there. Yeah, so then this last page is, I really loved this. This was shared on Instagram last week. She has little ones and she scheduled an individual Zoom with her students to do pre-assessment for the year, figure out where the kids were with sight words, and then additionally let the kids share something about themselves. This is a great way for her to get to know each of the kids. I think it's really, really hard in this environment for us, for some reason, for us to memorize names like we normally would in the classroom space. And so any way that we can kind of do these kind of connections, both for the pre-assessment part, sure, but then also those kind of little pieces that cue us into who they are as little humans and those kinds of things. And in fact, I shared something with Carrie, someone shared the other day online where a teacher was keeping track with like a spreadsheet when they were doing live Zoom sessions and like, you know, like a cat came into the screen or you know, someone was in the background, not as a punitive measure, but more of in terms like, oh, okay, Johnny has a cat. I'm going to make sure to ask them what the cat's name is later. So it's almost like notes to self of these little snippets that we see into their lives in the Zoom background that can help us make those kind of human connections. So I really liked that idea. Okay, so Tina's asking a little bit about Loom. So as we we'll get the links for the evaluation in here, as well as your self-check for PDUs. Loom is something that we no longer have access to with our Beaverton account. They wanted too much privacy data that our IT department cut off access to. So Loom is something we don't have access to anymore. So can we put Loom videos into? So that's kind of your answer to that. I think any kind of videos for Google Forms specifically, if that's what you're referencing, Tina, Google Forms take a YouTube video. So you'd have to go in and upload something to YouTube, and that's what's going to go into YouTube. And Google are hand in hand, right? They work together. So YouTube videos can easily be inserted into Google Slides and Google Forms. Okay.
Nicole, can I ask a fast question?
Sure.
I don't know if you saw it in the chat, but I was wondering about the mute for students. Like, okay, like what if I have a if I have a break time share screen and, you know, I don't want kids just popping off mute, or I found a lot of discrepancies last term in them being able to unmute when I didn't want them to, and others I had to ask them to unmute and I didn't have any control. Is there a way to streamline that, or is it all on the kid end?
So let me go in and check in my Zoom. I go into,
and I know that's Zoom specific, sorry, but it's
yeah, that's okay. I'm going into my Zoom settings. And I know this seems silly, but how many of you know the Command F feature? So like Command F allows you to do a search or a find. So when I do this all the time on the Zoom settings. So I'm in the Zoom window. And in fact, Carrie, did you stop sharing your screen?
No, I would love for you to share that.
Okay. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna do a find. I'm doing Command F on my keyboard and it pops up with this little guy up here. So we're talking about muting. So I'm just typing in the word mute and it's taking me into the different spaces, and I can click the up and down arrow to find wherever that's happening. So for instance, I toggle off the, I mute everybody as soon as they come into my Zoom session, because I've had so many instances where people will join from like their phone while they're out for a walk. And we'll hear all the clatter as someone's, you know, going for the walk. So I automatically mute people as they come in. So I have that turned off. And then request permission to unmute is the other option.
Yeah, what does that one do? Because I don't remember seeing requests to unmute. I don't want a request to unmute. I want to be able to unmute them or mute them.
Yeah, so, and then I'm kind of, hold on. And then I'm also kind of wondering, where did my chat screen go? So on your side as a host, you also have the ability, you have a security button, but I don't see anything about muting on that either. In the participants window, you can, there we go, that's where it is. Okay, so in the participants window, you have the ability to mute all and to unmute all, which I think could be really helpful when you're doing call and response stuff, to make sure you know where that button is. And, you know, when you're asking them, you know, okay, everyone, I say this, you say this, and you unmute everybody so you can hear them. But right next to that button, there's a more button where you can toggle on and off, allow participants to unmute themselves. So it right now for me, it has a check mark next to it, because you as adults, I want you to be able to unmute yourself. But in a classroom setting, I would uncheck that, right? If I didn't want them to be able to unmute.
And that shows up when I'm the host? Because
When
right
you're
now
the
I don't
host.
see that. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for showing up for us today. I want to reiterate again, like, really think about it from a student's perspective, that if they can't attend your live virtual settings and all they have in front of them is their Canvas classroom or their Seesaw classroom, is it engaging? And if it's just a 12-point font Times New Roman black text on a white background, I really don't think we would ever type that out, print it on our little classroom printers, walk down to the copy machine, copy off 30 of those and slap those on the desks in front of students, right? Like that's just not practice that we would do. So we need to keep that in mind as we're designing and building things online, that that we try and, you know, put some images in. If that's all we do, make the font a little bit bigger, maybe add some color, add an image, that would be intimately better than just a few short words on the screen. They need to be able to engage with it a little bit more.